The city street was busy that evening. Cars rushed past, people hurried home, and neon lights flickered above the shops. In the middle of all this noise and movement, one man walked quietly, lost in his own thoughts. He was an ordinary man with no special plans, just another face in the crowd. He had no idea that his life was about to change forever. He had just turned the corner when he heard it. A small voice, clear and sharp, cut through the noise. "Dad?" The man froze. He turned his head quickly, almost in shock. A boy, maybe 7 or 8 years old, was running straight toward him. Before he could move, the boy's small arms wrapped tightly around his waist. The man looked down. The boy's face was bright, his eyes filled with relief and happiness. "You came back," the boy whispered, holding on like he never wanted to let go. The man's heart raced. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. He had never seen this boy in his life. The crowd slowed down. People glanced at them, some even stopped. A woman passing by smiled and said softly, "How sweet." He missed his father. But the man knew something was wrong. He was not this boy's father. He knelt down slowly, trying to be gentle. "Hey, listen. I think you made a mistake. I'm not your dad." The boy looked up at him with wide, serious eyes. "No, you are my dad. I knew you would come back. Mom said you would." The man felt a chill run through his body. He tried to pull the boy away, but the boy held tighter, as if he was afraid of losing him again. People were whispering now, curious eyes watching. The man's face grew hot with embarrassment. But something else filled his chest too, an uneasy feeling, as if this was not just a simple mistake. Before he could say more, a woman's voice called out, "There you are!" The man turned. A woman was walking quickly toward them. She was tall, with sharp eyes and a calm face. Her dark hair moved with the wind, and there was something confident about the way she carried herself. The boy let go of the man and ran to her, but only for a moment. He turned back and grabbed the man's hand, pulling him toward her. "Mom, I found him." "I found Dad." The man tried to pull his hand away, but the boy held tightly. The woman stopped in front of them. She looked directly at the man. Her eyes did not show surprise. Instead, they showed something stranger, recognition. She smiled softly. "I knew you'd come back to us." The man's mouth went dry. I don't know you," he said quickly. "And I don't know this boy. You must have the wrong person." The woman tilted her head, almost amused. "Is that so? You don't remember? Not even a little?" The man shook his head firmly. "No, I think there's some mistake. I don't have a child." The boy looked up, his voice trembling. "Dad, don't leave us again." The man stepped back, his mind spinning. None of this made sense. He wanted to run, to walk away, but the woman's eyes held him like invisible chains. She leaned closer, her voice low but steady. "Listen carefully. I don't expect you to remember everything now, but you will, soon." "What are you talking about?" the man whispered, frustration mixing with fear. The woman glanced around the street. The crowd had grown bored and moved on, but her expression grew serious, almost cold. "This is not the place to talk. Too many eyes are watching. But know this." She touched the boy's shoulder gently. "He is yours, and you once promised to protect us both." The man stared at her. His head felt heavy, his chest tight. He wanted to laugh, to call her crazy, but the boy's eyes, they were so full of trust, so full of hope. "I don't understand," the man said. His voice cracked slightly. "You will," the woman answered calmly. Then she leaned closer, so close he could feel her breath. "But you need to decide quickly. They will come for us soon." The man frowned. "Who will?" She smiled faintly, almost like she knew a secret. "You'll find out." For a long moment they stood there in the middle of the busy street. An ordinary man, a determined woman, and a boy who refused to let go of his hand. Cars honked, people passed, but for him the world had gone silent. He wanted to believe it was all a mistake, just confusion. But deep inside something stirred, a strange feeling like a memory buried deep in the dark fighting to return. And for the first time in years he felt afraid of himself. The man could not sleep that night. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the dark window. The memory of the boy calling him Dad replayed again and again in his mind. The woman's calm voice echoed louder. "I knew you'd come back to us." Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the boy's small face, full of hope. Why had the boy looked so sure? Why had the woman spoken as if she truly knew him? "This is nonsense," he whispered to himself. "I don't even know them," but the unease in his chest refused to leave. The next morning, he decided to avoid the area where it happened. He wanted to forget, to bury it as just a strange encounter. But fate had other plans. As he walked to his usual cafe, he felt a pair of eyes on him. He turned sharply, but the street was empty except for a delivery truck. Still, the feeling lingered. Someone was watching. When he stepped into the cafe, he froze. At a corner table, the woman and the boy were waiting for him. The boy jumped up, smiling. "Dad, I knew you'd come." The man's stomach twisted. "This is no coincidence," he muttered. He looked around. People were busy with their coffee and laptops, no one paying attention. The woman gestured to the seat across from her. "Sit, we need to talk." The man hesitated. His first instinct was to leave, to escape, but curiosity pulled him forward. He sat down slowly, eyes fixed on her. "Look," he said firmly, "I don't know who you are. I don't know your son. Why are you doing this?" The woman leaned forward, her hands folded neatly. "Because you don't remember. That's all. Your memory is not whole." They made sure of that. The man frowned. "Who is they?" "Stop speaking in riddles." The boy tugged at his sleeve. "Mom said you were sick. That's why you forgot. But you promised you'd come back when we needed you." The man swallowed hard. The boy's voice was so innocent yet filled with a strange confidence. He shook his head. "This is insane. You've mistaken me for someone else." "I'm not." "You are," the woman cut in sharply. Her eyes locked onto his. "You are the one who left us, the one who fought, who protected, and the one who promised me you would never disappear forever." Her words hit him like a punch. He felt his chest tighten. Somewhere deep inside, something stirred. A flash of something he couldn't explain. A blade of light. A battlefield under strange skies. Voices calling his name. He blinked hard and the vision was gone. The woman studied him. "You felt it, didn't you?" she asked quietly. He did not answer. He didn't want to admit anything. "This is ridiculous," he finally said. He pushed back his chair. "I don't have time for games." But before he could stand, the woman placed her hand over his. Her grip was firm, her voice calm but urgent. "If you walk away now, they will find us, and when they do, your choice will be taken from you." He froze. "Who are they?" he demanded. The woman leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The ones who erased you. The ones who don't want you to remember who you are." His skin prickled. "This is crazy," he whispered. But his voice lacked strength. She looked at the boy, then back at him. "You are his father, and whether you want it or not, you are part of this. Soon, very soon, they will come, and when they do, you'll have to decide where you stand." The boy rested his head on the man's arm. "Please don't leave us again," he said softly. The man looked down at him. His small eyes shone with complete belief. There was no doubt in them, no hesitation, only trust. For a long moment, the man couldn't move. Finally, he pulled his arm away gently. "I need proof," he said. His voice was low, almost trembling. "You say I'm his father. You say I forgot, fine, but show me something real, something I can't deny." The woman nodded slowly as if she had expected this. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small silver object. It looked like no technology he had ever seen. Smooth, glowing faintly, alive with light. She placed it on the table between them. "This," she said, "is yours." The man stared at it. The glow reflected in his eyes, and for a second he felt a pull, like it was calling to him. His chest thudded hard. "What is it?" he whispered. The woman smiled faintly. "A key to your past, to the truth, but you must be ready to use it." The cafe suddenly felt colder. The man glanced around nervously. No one else seemed to notice the strange light. He looked back at the woman. "What do you want from me?" Her eyes grew serious. "Not what I want. What we need. You made a promise to me, to him, and to the world, and soon you will have to keep it." The boy gripped his hand again. "Dad, please." The man's heart pounded. He wanted to shout, to deny everything. But deep inside, something told him the woman was not lying. Something told him that his life was no longer his own. And outside, through the cafe window, a black car parked quietly across the street. The silver object sat on his table all night. He could not throw it away. He could not even hide it. It seemed to glow faintly in the dark, almost breathing like a living thing. The man sat awake, eyes fixed on it. He told himself again and again, "This is not real. This is some trick." But every time he closed his eyes, images came rushing in, a sky filled with two moons, A burning city, soldiers in strange armor, and himself, fighting with a weapon he had never seen, moving like a warrior he could never imagine being. When he woke from the dream, his hands were shaking. His shirt was soaked with sweat. He stumbled into the bathroom and splashed water on his face. His reflection in the mirror looked like a stranger. Who am I really? Later that day, he decided to meet the woman again. He did not know why. Maybe he wanted answers. Maybe he was afraid of the questions. They met in a quiet park this time, away from the noise of the city. The boy played near the swings, but he never strayed too far. He kept glancing back at the man as if making sure he was still there. The woman watched the boy fondly, then turned to the man. "You saw something last night, didn't you?" The man's jaw tightened. "Dreams, strange dreams." "But that's all they are, dreams," she shook her head. "Not dreams, memories." He laughed bitterly. "Memories of what? Fighting aliens? 2 moons in the sky? Do you hear yourself?" The woman's face grew serious. "Yes, and deep inside you know it's true. You felt it." The man fell silent. He could not deny the shiver running down his spine. Finally, he said, "What do you want from me? Why drag me into this madness?" Her eyes locked onto his. "Because they're coming. And when they arrive, you will have no choice. Either you remember who you are, or you will die as someone else." The man's stomach turned. "Who are they?" She hesitated, then spoke slowly. "Hunters. Shadows from the war you once fought. They erased you so you could live hidden here, safe. But they found us again. And this time they will not let you go." He shook his head violently. No, this is crazy. I'm just a normal man. I work, I eat, I sleep. That's it. I'm not a soldier. I'm not a hero." The woman leaned closer. Her voice was soft but sharp. "Normal men don't fight like you did in that alley last night." His heart skipped. "How did you—" "I saw it," she interrupted. "The way you moved. The way you drove. You don't even realize it, but your instincts are waking up." The man clenched his fists. He remembered the chase. He remembered how his body seemed to know where to go, what to do. It had felt natural, almost too natural. The boy ran back from the swings, laughing. He clung to the man's arm. "Dad, when are we going home?" The man froze. The word dad cut deeper this time. It no longer sounded like a mistake. It sounded possible. The woman touched his hand lightly. "He believes in you. More than anyone else. And soon you must believe too." As they walked out of the park together, the man noticed it again. The black car. Parked near the corner. Its windows dark, engine silent. He stopped walking. "Do you see that?" he asked. The woman glanced at it once, then tightened her grip on the boy's hand. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were not. "Yes, they're already watching." The man's chest tightened. "You're saying they're here? Now?" "Yes," she said firmly. "That's why I warned you. We don't have much time." The boy looked confused. "Mom, who are they?" The woman bent down to him and whispered something the man could not hear. The boy's smile faded. His small fingers clung even tighter to the man's coat. The man's voice cracked. "What happens if they catch us?" The woman stood tall, her eyes cold. "Then you'll remember, but too late. And they'll take him from us." The boy gasped, hugging the man's waist. "No, Dad won't let them." The man felt his throat close. He wanted to protest, to deny, to shout, "I'm not your father." But the words never came. Instead, he put his arm around the boy protectively. His body acted before his mind. The woman nodded slightly. "See? You're already becoming who you were." The man looked at the car again. For a moment he thought he saw movement behind the dark glass, a shape, a figure watching. His stomach twisted. His instincts screamed at him, "Run!" The woman stepped closer, her voice almost a whisper. "You must choose soon. Protect us or lose us. That is the warning." The boy whispered softly, almost like a prayer. "Dad, don't leave us again." The man closed his eyes. His heart pounded like a drum. He didn't know who he truly was. He didn't know if this was madness or truth, but one thing he knew for certain. Someone or something was already hunting them, and the shadows were getting closer. The black car did not move for hours. It stayed near the park, silent, heavy, like a shadow that refused to leave. The man tried to ignore it, but his nerves buzzed. The woman's warning echoed in his head. "They're already watching." When the sun began to set, the woman stood up quickly. "We can't stay here. It's time to move." The boy held the man's hand tightly, his small fingers trembling. Dad, are we going home now? The man swallowed hard. He wanted to say yes, but his chest felt hollow. He had no home for them. He had no plan. He was just a man who didn't understand what was happening. Yet, for reasons he couldn't explain, he squeezed the boy's hand and nodded. Yes, let's go. They walked toward the street. The car engine rumbled to life. Its headlights flickered on. The woman's eyes narrowed. It begins. The man pulled them both forward. Run! The three of them dashed across the street. The car surged ahead, tires screeching. People turned to look, confused and frightened, as the black vehicle cut through traffic, chasing them. The man's pulse hammered. He pulled the boy into his arms and sprinted faster than he thought possible. The woman ran beside him, her breath sharp but steady. They cut through a narrow alley. The car couldn't follow, but it didn't stop. It circled around the block. He knew, instinctively, that it would cut them off on the other side. How do you know that? He asked himself. But there was no time to wonder. They reached the end of the alley and burst onto another street. The black car was already waiting, blocking the way. The woman grabbed his arm. This way. She pointed to a staircase leading down into an underground parking lot. They ran, their footsteps echoing loudly. The man carried the boy as if he weighed nothing. His legs moved faster, stronger. His lungs should have burned, but they didn't. His body felt alive, sharp, almost trained. The woman noticed. You feel it, don't you? She shouted. He ignored her. But deep inside, he knew she was right. The black car roared down the ramp after them. Its headlights filled the garage with blinding light. The man scanned the rows of parked cars. He didn't know what he was looking for, until his eyes stopped on an old motorcycle leaning against the wall. The keys dangled from the ignition. Without thinking, he ran to it. He placed the boy in the woman's arms. Hold him tight. What are you doing? She asked. He didn't answer. He swung onto the bike like he had done it 1,000 times. His hands moved on their own, twisting the ignition, pulling the clutch, revving the engine. The machine roared awake. The woman climbed on behind him, clutching the boy between them. Hold on, the man shouted. The black car charged toward them. The man spun the bike around, tires screeching against the concrete. The vehicle missed them by inches, smashing into a row of empty cars. Alarms screamed through the garage. He accelerated. The bike shot forward like a bullet, weaving between pillars, dodging cars. His body leaned perfectly, every turn smooth, every move precise. The woman's eyes widened. You remember, she whispered. The man's jaw clenched. I don't remember anything. My body does. They burst out of the garage and onto the city streets. The night air hit their faces. Neon signs blurred past. Behind them, the black car sped out of the ramp, chasing again. The boy clung to him, shouting, Go, Dad! Go faster. Traffic lights flashed red, but the man didn't stop. He cut through intersections, swerved between buses, and even skimmed inches away from a truck. Horns blared, brakes screamed, but somehow they never crashed. The woman held on tightly, shouting directions. Left, now right. He followed without thinking. Every turn felt natural. Every escape felt planned, like his mind already knew the map of the city. But the black car was relentless. It stayed close, pushing other cars aside, unstoppable. Then he saw it. A narrow bridge ahead, half closed for repairs. A single lane remained open, covered with warning signs. His mind screamed, That's the way. He pushed the throttle. The motorcycle roared louder. The woman's eyes widened. You're insane. The boy laughed nervously. Dad can do it. They hit the bridge at full speed. Barriers flashed past them. The narrow path felt impossibly tight. The black car followed, its engine howling like a beast. The man leaned hard, sliding the bike through the smallest gaps, sparks flying as the metal brushed against the rails. The boy screamed, but not in fear, in wild excitement. At the final section, the path narrowed even more. The man's heart pounded. One mistake and they would all be crushed. He focused. His hands were steady. His body knew exactly what to do. With a final twist of the throttle, the motorcycle shot out of the bridge like a streak of lightning. Behind them, the black car slammed against the rail. Metal crunched. Sparks exploded. It spun sideways, blocking the bridge. They had escaped. The motorcycle slowed only when the city lights faded behind them. They rode into an abandoned industrial district, quiet and empty. The man parked near a warehouse, his body shaking from the rush. The boy hugged him tightly, whispering, I knew you'd save us. The woman climbed off, her voice trembling but steady. You see now, you're not ordinary. You were never ordinary. The man's hands trembled on the handlebars. He didn't know who he was. But one thing was clear. Whoever those people were, they wanted him badly. And tonight, for the first time, he had fought back. The motorcycle engine went silent. For a moment, the world felt still, as if the chase had only been a bad dream. But the man's hands would not stop shaking. He sat on the bike, breath uneven, staring at the cracked walls of the warehouse around them. The boy clung to him. "Dad, that was amazing." His voice was full of joy, but his small arms shook. Fear hid behind his smile. The woman stepped closer, her face calm but her eyes hard. "We bought some time." "But not much," the man looked up sharply. "I want answers now, no more games." She nodded. "Then you're ready to see." Inside the warehouse, dust covered the floor. Rusty machines stood like silent statues. The woman placed her bag on an old table and pulled out the silver device, the same one she had shown him in the cafe. Its faint glow pulsed stronger now, as if alive. She handed it to him. "Hold it, let it recognize you." The man hesitated. His instinct screamed to throw it away. But curiosity was stronger. Slowly, he reached out and wrapped his fingers around the smooth metal. The moment he touched it, the glow spread through his hand like fire. His knees buckled. He staggered back, gasping. The world around him dissolved. He stood in another place. The sky above him was dark, broken by 2 glowing moons. Fires burned in the distance. Strange ships hovered, casting shadows over ruined buildings. The air was thick with smoke and the sound of battle. He looked down at himself. His hands were covered in black armor. A weapon, long, glowing alive, rested in his grip. He felt its weight, its power. Soldiers ran past him, shouting in voices that were both human and not. And beside him, the woman, her hair shorter, her face younger, but the same determined eyes. She fought with him, blade flashing, and the boy, smaller, a baby then, was carried in her arms, wrapped in cloth. The memory stabbed into his chest. He staggered, then another image. Him standing before a council of strange beings swearing an oath. His voice rang out, "I will protect them, no matter the cost." The vision shattered. He collapsed to the warehouse floor, gasping for air. His whole body shook. The boy knelt beside him, touching his shoulder. "Dad, are you okay?" The man's eyes were wide with terror. What was that?" The woman knelt across from him. "Not what, who, that was you. That was your life before this one." He shook his head wildly. No, this isn't possible. I've never been there. You have," she cut in. "You just forgot. They made you forget. Why?" His voice cracked. "Why would anyone erase my life?" She looked at the boy, then back at him. Her voice dropped low. "Because you were the strongest of us, and the most dangerous. To them, you were a weapon they could not control. So they wiped you clean and left you here, hoping you would disappear into this world." The boy hugged his arm tightly. "But you didn't disappear. You came back. Just like Mom said." The man buried his face in his hands. His chest heaved. "I don't want this. I don't want wars or oaths or enemies. I just want a normal life." The woman's voice softened. "And do you think you can still have it? After tonight? After they chased us through the city? Look at him." She touched the boy's head gently. "Do you think they will let him live a normal life?" The man looked at the boy, his son. The words still felt strange, but his heart trembled as he saw the child's trust, his innocence. The woman leaned closer. "You swore to protect us. You may not remember the words, but your soul does. That's why your body fights when danger comes. That's why your instincts never left you. Deep inside, you are still him." The man stood slowly, the silver device glowing faintly in his hand. "And if I refuse? If I walk away?" Her eyes hardened. "Then they will find us. They will take him. And when they do, you will remember everything too late." The boy's small voice cut through the silence. "Dad, please don't leave again." The man's throat tightened. He wanted to run, to deny everything, but every time he closed his eyes, the visions burned brighter. Every beat of his heart whispered the same truth. "You are not who you think you are." He stared at the device in his hand. It pulsed with a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. His heartbeat. Finally, he whispered, "What happens if I accept this? If I remember?" The woman met his gaze. Her answer was simple. "Then you become what you were born to be. A protector, a leader, a warrior, and maybe the only hope we have left." The boy smiled, tears shining in his eyes. I knew you'd come back, Dad. The man's chest ached. He could not say yes. He could not say no. But he knew one thing. His life of ordinary days was over. And outside the warehouse, in the darkness of the city, unseen shadows moved closer. The warehouse was silent, except for the man's uneven breathing. The silver device still pulsed in his hand, its glow spreading faint light across the dusty walls. The boy leaned against him, half asleep but refusing to let go of his father's arm. The woman watched quietly, her eyes sharp but gentle. You can't hide from this anymore. The choice will come whether you want it or not. The man shook his head. I don't want this life. I don't want wars or enemies. I just want peace. The woman's voice grew harder. Peace is not given. It's protected. You once knew that. Her words cut deep. He wanted to argue, but before he could speak, a sound broke the silence. Tires screeching outside. The woman froze. They've found us. The boy sat up quickly, fear in his eyes. Dad? The man's chest tightened. He didn't answer. He pushed the boy behind him and listened. Heavy footsteps echoed outside the warehouse. A low hum filled the air, almost mechanical. Then the doors burst open. Figures stepped inside, cloaked in black armor. Their eyes glowed faintly through their helmets like machines but alive. Each carried weapons that hissed with energy. The woman pulled the boy close. Hunters. The man's body moved before his mind caught up. He stepped in front of them, fists clenched. Stay behind me. One of the soldiers raised a weapon. Target reacquired, a robotic voice hissed. The man's heart pounded. His mind screamed to run, but his body stood firm. His legs braced, his hands ready. The first shot fired, he moved without thinking. His arm grabbed a metal pipe from the floor and swung. The energy bolt exploded against it, sparks showering the room. The shock ran through his arms, but he did not fall. He spun, striking the soldier across the helmet. The figure staggered back, weapon clattering. The man blinked in disbelief. How did I know to do that? Another soldier lunged. He twisted, ducked, and slammed the pipe into the soldier's chest, sending the armored body crashing into a machine. His breath came heavy, but his movements were sharp, controlled, too perfect to be random. Instincts buried deep inside him had awakened fully. The boy's voice rang out. Dad, you're remembering. But more soldiers poured in, their glowing eyes fixed on him. The woman shouted, There are too many. We need to move. The man swung the pipe again, forcing two soldiers back. Go, take him. But the boy refused to let go. No, I won't leave you. The man's chest ached. He wanted to protect them both, but every second the enemies drew closer. Blades hissed from their arms, sharp and deadly. He grabbed the silver device from his pocket and held it tight. Suddenly, light surged from it, covering his arm in glowing armor. His whole body shuddered, energy rushing through his veins. The woman's eyes widened. It's responding to you. He looked at his glowing hand in shock. What am I? Her voice was steady. What you were always meant to be. The soldiers attacked together. He met them head on, the pipe now glowing like a blade in his hands. His movements blurred. He struck, blocked, twisted. Every strike landed with precision. Sparks flew, armor cracked, weapons shattered, but he was not invincible. A bolt hit his side. Pain tore through him, knocking him to the ground. Dad, the boy screamed, rushing forward. The man forced himself up, blood on his lips. He grabbed the boy and pulled him close. His voice shook. Don't be afraid. I won't let them take you. The boy's small hands gripped his. I believe you. Strength surged back into him, stronger than before. He roared, charging at the soldiers again. He fought like a storm, knocking them down one by one. At last, silence filled the warehouse. The remaining soldiers retreated into the shadows, their voices fading. Target confirmed. Return with reinforcements. The man dropped the glowing weapon. His body trembled, wounds burning. The boy hugged him tightly, tears falling. You didn't leave us. You stayed. The woman knelt beside him, her voice calm but heavy with meaning. Now do you understand? You can't run from this. You are their target, and we are your family. Without you, we have no chance. The man leaned against the wall, exhausted. His eyes moved from the boy to the woman, his chest filled with conflict. I don't know if I can be who you think I am, he whispered. The woman touched his arm. You already are. Tonight you chose. You protected us even when you said you wanted peace. That was your decision. The boy nodded, his voice soft but certain. You're my dad. That's all that matters. The man closed his eyes. Pain filled his body, but so did something else, a strange, burning purpose. For the first time, he was no longer only running from the truth. He was standing in it. The warehouse smelled of smoke and metal. Broken machines lay scattered across the floor, sparks still flickering from the battle. The man sat slumped against the wall, his chest rising and falling with each heavy breath. His shirt was torn, blood marking his side, but his eyes burned with a strange fire. The boy sat close beside him, refusing to let go of his hand. His small face was streaked with dirt, but his eyes were bright, full of trust. The woman stood guard near the broken doors, watching the dark street outside. They won't stop. More will come, she said quietly. The man forced himself up. Every muscle in his body screamed in pain, but he stood tall. Then we move. We can't stay here, the woman turned to him. Move where? They'll follow us everywhere. You saw what happened tonight. This city is no longer safe. The boy tugged at his father's arm. Then we leave the city. We go far away, right? The man looked down at him, his chest aching with both love and fear. Yes, he said softly. We'll find a place. But even as he spoke, he knew the truth. There was no hiding anymore. They left the warehouse under the cover of night. The streets were quiet, but danger lingered in every shadow. The man carried the silver device in his pocket. It pulsed steadily like a second heartbeat. As they walked, his thoughts raced. The visions, the armor, the fight, everything inside him screamed that he was more than he remembered. And now, with every step, he felt the weight of the boy's hand in his own. He was not only a fighter. He was a father. The woman walked beside him. For once, her voice softened. You feel it now, don't you? You're waking up, he nodded slowly. Yes, but I don't know if I can handle what's coming. She looked at him with quiet certainty. You will. You always did. They reached a hill on the edge of the city. The air was cooler, the streets empty. For a moment it felt peaceful. The boy pointed at the stars. Look, it's so pretty. The man followed his gaze. The night sky stretched wide above them, glittering with stars. But then something moved. At first it looked like a star growing brighter. Then another. And another. Soon the sky itself seemed to shift. The woman's eyes widened. No, it's too soon. The man's stomach dropped. What is it? The stars grew larger, revealing their true shape, massive ships descending from the heavens. Their lights burned like fire, their shadows swallowing the city below. The ground trembled as a deep hum filled the air. The boy gasped. Dad, what is that? The man's voice was steady, though fear clawed at his throat. War. The first ship broke through the clouds, a giant dark vessel, its surface glowing with strange symbols. It hovered above the city, casting its shadow across skyscrapers and streets. People screamed in the distance, alarms wailed, and panic spread like fire. The boy clutched his father's arm. They found us, didn't they? The man crouched, looking straight into his son's eyes. Yes, but this time we don't run. The woman stepped closer, her face fierce. You're finally ready, aren't you? The man tightened his grip on the silver device. It flared with light, spreading armor across his arm once more. He felt power surge through him, raw and unstoppable. He stood tall, staring at the ship above. For the first time, he did not feel like a lost man. He felt like what he was always meant to be. The boy whispered, Dad, will we win? The man placed his hand on the boy's shoulder. His voice was firm, stronger than ever. As long as I'm here, no one will take you. No one will take your mother. We fight together, and we survive. The woman nodded, her eyes shining with both fear and pride. Then this is the beginning. The ground shook harder as beams of light shot down from the ship. Strange figures began to descend, their silhouettes sharp against the burning sky. The man took a step forward, his armor glowing brighter with each heartbeat. They came for me. But they'll learn something tonight. I'm not running anymore. The boy smiled faintly, gripping his mother's hand. He's back. The city below erupted in chaos, but on that hilltop the man stood firm. A father, a protector, a warrior reborn. The first wave of enemies touched the ground. Weapons ready. The man raised his glowing arm, his voice cold, steady, and unshaken. The battle for Earth begins now. And as the ships darkened the sky, he stepped into the fight, not as a stranger, not as a runaway, but as the man his family always believed he was, their last hope.